The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Justice requires us to remember when any citizen denies his fellow, saying his color, not mine, or his beliefs are strange and different. In that moment, he betrays America. Be nice and patient and continue to pray.
Let's talk about the so-called Somali childcare scandal. Because what's circulating right now online is not the full story, not the accurate story, and in many cases, not even the current story. What is being pushed is a narrative designed to shock, inflame, and distract. Some taking the time to slow it down, separate fact from fiction. And let's talk about what actually happened, when it was discovered, what's already been prosecuted, and what is still being monitored. And finally, why this story is being intentionally misrepresented right now. Because this is not a new scandal, and the timing of its revival is not accidental. Here's the baseline in reality. Yes, there was fraud involving child care assistance programs. Yes, some providers exploited the system. And yes, many of the daycares involved served Somali and East African communities, which is why this has been labeled, often irresponsibly, as a Somali child care scandal. But labeling it that way already distorts the issue, because this is not a cultural scam. This is not a community-wide conspiracy, and it is not definitely that suddenly appeared overnight. This was a fraud investigation involving specific providers, specific billing practices, and systematic oversight failures. Exactly the kind of fraud that happens in every public assistance system when funding expands faster than enforcement. Here is the major lie by omission in the current disclosures being made. This issue was discovered in 2021. No, I don't have insider information. It was a 2-minute Google search that helped me find the facts. Everything I'm about to disclose is publicly available on multiple government sites. This issue, as I said, was discovered in 2021. Not last year, not last month, not under a new administration. The investigation began years ago, following pandemic-era expansions in child care funding that created vulnerabilities in oversight. By 2022, prosecutions were already underway, and as of now, 62 individuals have been prosecuted. Charges included fraud, wire fraud, false claims, and related offenses. And yes, I'm talking about in Minnesota. This represents one of the largest child care fraud investigations in the country. That is not inaction. That is not neglect. And that is not being ignored. That's what actual enforcement looks like. What is happening now? Well, another key distortion, the idea that these daycare centers are operating freely, unchecked, or untouched. Well, that is patently false. Many facilities have been fined, been placed under monitoring, received formal warnings, been cited for insufficiencies, or been removed from the programs entirely. Others are ongoing compliance oversight, meaning they are being audited and reviewed more aggressively than before. This is how regulatory systems function: investigate, prosecute, monitor, and reform. Not everything shuts down overnight, and not every violation equals a criminal charge. But pretending nothing is being done, well, that is simply dishonest. Let's address the viral fuel behind much of the outrage. The so-called Shirley video, which has been circulated as proof of rampant ongoing fraud, it's been debunked. It relies on misleading clips, decontextualized claims, assertions that contradict established court records and regulatory findings, which, by the way, are public, and I found them with no effort whatsoever. easily and not a lot of time. Yet this narrative continues to be pushed because it confirms a narrative, not because it reflects reality. And that should always raise red flags. Now, I'm going to get to the uncomfortable part. Sorry, not sorry. This case, again, already under investigation since 2021, is suddenly being framed as new, explosive, uncovered corruption, proof of systematic collapse. But why now? Because distraction is a political tool. This story is being deliberately amplified to deflect attention from other unfolding scandals, shift public anger towards immigrant communities, and justify a sweeping policy decisions that were already ideologically planned, including the renewed attention on the Epstein-related files, donor networks, and institutional accountability that, well, certain political organizations do not want center stage. You can see the deflection, I'm sure. So let's talk about the policy response. A decision was made to freeze childcare funding nationwide, not in 2021 when the investigation started, but now, today, by this administration. And not just in one state. They are doing it nationwide, using this case as justification. And that decision is deeply telling because the fraud was state specific and it was already being prosecuted. Oversight reforms were already underway and enforcement actions have already been taken. Freezing childcare funding across the country over an issue that was already being addressed, well, that's not corrective. That's downright punitive. It's ideological. And it disproportionately harms working parents, single mothers, low-income families, and childcare workers themselves. And here's where we zoom out to look at the broader agenda. What we are seeing fits neatly into a larger framework. Shrinking social infrastructure, making childcare inaccessible, forcing women out of the workplace, increasing economic dependence, reinforcing a hierarchical, patriarchal labor structure. When childcare becomes unaffordable or unavailable, the result is predictable. Women leave paid employment, families lose income, workers become more exploitable, and wage stagnation becomes coercion. This aligns directly with the goals outlined in Project 2025. Yes, I said it. Project 2025. It's clearly stated in there. What's stated was they want to reduce public support systems, shift care labor back into the home, increase reliance on low-wage work, and consolidate economic power upward. Yes, upward. This is not about fraud prevention. Fraud prevention was already happening. This is about restructuring who gets to participate in the workforce at all. So bring it back a little bit, just to make sure that I'm being clear. Fact versus political spin. Yes, there was fraud. Yes, people were prosecuted. And yes, enforcement is still ongoing. But no, this is not new. No, it was not ignored. And no, it does not justify a nationwide childcare freeze. What is new is the political weaponization of a resolved and ongoing investigation to push a broader agenda, one that benefits corporations, entrenched power, and ideological movements at the expense of working families. This is not about protecting children, and it's not about accountability. It's clearly not about fiscal responsibility. This is about control. And the people who pay the price are always the same. You and me.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Justice requires us to remember when any citizen denies his fellow, saying his color, not mine, or his beliefs are strange and different, In that moment, he betrays America.
Be nice, patient, and continue to pray. In 100 or 200 years, the problem will work itself out.
I believe that truth is the glue that holds government together. Not only our government, but civilization itself.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
This nation was founded by men of many nations and backgrounds. It was founded on the principle that all men are created equal, and that the rights of every man are diminished, and the rights of one man are threatened.
America is never wholly herself unless she is engaged in high moral principle. We as a people have such a purpose today. It is to make kinder the face of the nation and gentler the face of the world.
There is nothing wrong with America that cannot be cured by what is right with America.
Through much of the last century, America's faith in freedom and democracy was a rock in a raging sea.
Starting today, we must pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and begin again the work of remaking America.